talking about using text. Text is a very useful component within SwiftUI. So the first way you're going to use it is to display a static string. So for example, right here, I am displaying the hello world, and this is not going to change during the runtime. So basically, you hard code a string to be displayed within the text. For example, this can be used welcome to the example app. So this is for the contents that will not change when the app is running. You can also introduce in the variable section, you can display a variable. For example, I can display the text of the username, and it will display the username. The third thing you can do is that you can embed a variable within a string. So for example, if I want to display welcome user, and I want to display the user's real username within here, I can add a slash and then followed by a parenthesis. Within the parentheses, I can put the variable name. So for example, username. And here, if I render this view, you will be able to see welcome and the username. You can embed more than one variable. So for example, here, we can also put the user's ID here. And what to notice is that these variable embeds can be included anywhere within the string. So for example, I can put it in front of the string. Okay, the fourth way you can use it is we can embed a SF symbol. So for example, and this is through the same way as I am embedding a variable. So I put a slash first and then put a parentheses, and then within here, I'm going to use an image object. So I'm going to introduce this image object to you in future sections, but here I'm just going to use it ahead of time. So let's, for example, put a checkmark fill image here, and then we can put the user's username. Okay, as you can see in the preview, we got a image displayed and then followed by the user's username. Now, we can also display strings with markdown formats. So, for example, I can display a bold text. Actually, we can display a link. We can display a bold text, italic, or we can display a piece of code. This markdown feature is relatively limited. So, for example, if you put a headline, it will not display a headline, but it works with link, which will open Safari. It works with bold, italic text, and it works with a piece of code. All right, so these are the basic usage on displaying a text. Now I will talk about some common view modifiers for the text view component. So view modifiers, as its name suggests, modifies an existing view. So for example, if you want to modify this text view, you start right after this view component. You hit enter to create a new line, and then you use a dot. So here we have several options. We can customize the font, and you can of course initialize a new font object here using a CT font, but you can also use a dot to use one of the system fonts. So for example, Title 2. And you can continue going from here, for example, to make it bold. We can also change foreground color. So if you want to provide multiple view modifiers, you can just start a new line, and then we can enter foreground color. So here, what you can do is you can use UI color, or you can just hit dot to use one of the SwiftUI colors. So for example, blue. Okay, so these are some of the basic view modifiers for text, most common view modifiers. Of course, you can also align you can also align the text in a specific way by changing the alignments. but we will get to these view modifiers when we need to use them. But for now, you just need to remember that first we can display a static string, second we can display a variable. So as the variable value change, the content displayed on the screen also changes. The SwiftUI automatically reloads the view when the variable value changes, so you don't need to manually refresh the content of the text. So remember, within UIKit, we will have to set the text of a text view. But here, if we change the variable value, this text will change. We can also embed a variable within a string to construct a new string. We can also embed a subsymbol, and also we can use markdown format. So, and then the second takeaway is to use a view modifier. You put it immediately after the view you want to apply them to. And for text, basically you have a font and you have foreground color. That's two basic ones. And then to apply a view modifier, you put a dot first, and then you put a colon, and then with this initialization parameters. And some of them don't require initialization parameters. For example, bold doesn't require it. And then you start a new line and then can put in another view modifier.